Thanks for watching D2 Wrenchworks and DIY. Today's video, we are going to use my Trek 400 as an excellent model on how to install brake cables as well as shifter cables on your MICRONEW and MicroShift shifters. So let's get into it. Alright, first things first, we are going to do the shifter cables. These are the easiest to start with, so if you're new, this is a great first thing to do. We want to make sure we use the correct cables. These have a typical, nothing different than you would use on any sort of Shimano shifter or anything like that. The cable ends are very traditional. You don't need anything special. They're not compatible with Campanolo. So, once you got your shifter cables ready, if you have brand new MicroNew or MicroShift, they usually come with some, so use those. But first things first, what we do here on our shifters, we want to make sure this is the one that makes it go up a gear. We want to make sure it's all the way down, no tension in the shifter, and you can make sure you're in the correct position here by using the top button. You just heard it do a click. And just click it as many times as you can, and it will stop at its lowest point. And you can check inside here, and you want to make sure you can see the pod that the shift cable actually goes into and it catches. If you can't see through the hole up here, you're going to have a problem. You're going to bind up your shifters. You're going to get it all crossed up. You don't want to do that. So make sure you're on your first point here, and I'll show you a good close-up. All right, so we got a nice little close-up here, and the little pocket that has the shift cable, you can see it's right here. You can't miss that guy. I'll show you a little, if you have it in the wrong spot, you can see that's the one that moves it up and adds tension. This is the one that moves it back down, takes the tension off. And you can see it just gradually disappears here when it's too far over. So the whole point, you just want to make sure it's all the way over and you have plenty of space here. I like to use a little something to hold the actual brake lever. And now we are going to feed the shift cable through. This isn't that much different than your traditional Shimanos. Get our shift cable out the way. You should be able to see completely through, and we can definitely see through. We just try to make one nice smooth push straight through. You want to make sure it comes through the other side like we have right here. You can see it's come completely through here. Now you just pull the cable all the way through. What I like to do when I have this done, give it a little test. Nice. Give it a little tension. It's seated in there real good. And we could quickly do the same thing to the other side here. This one's already downshifted all the way. There you go. All right, for the brakes now. All right, before we get into the brake cables, I do want to go over a few tips and tricks. Basically, the hardest part of getting this whole job done will make it a complete breeze for you. Number one, you will need some grease. We're going to use this basically as a tack to make things sticky. If you don't have this, any sort of Vaseline will work as well. I've used that in the mechanic industry as well as a great tacking agent. So moving on, we will use, these are some jeweler. They're very small. I mean, they're basically the size of my whole hand here, but they're narrow and they fit into the brakes. If you have some normal needle nose pliers, that's not a big deal. You could use those as well. I have some others right here. I have some Craftsman ones, and these are just a little thicker at the top and a little wider. It still will work totally fine, but these are better because they're a little smaller. Both will be in the description. Now, if you don't have any of those, that is not a problem because I've been using picks forever. I can't tell you, I've been using these shifters for years now, and a straight pick or a hooked pick, many people don't have a pick set, so that's fine. But you could use a coat hanger, bend it into the shape of a hook, or use a straight hook, and we're going to use this to get inside of the brake barrel and pop it out. So these are going to make sure you keep everything together into one piece. You don't want to just go flying and explode all over the place. They tend to do that, so keep an eye out when you get that done. And lastly, tweezers. If you don't have anything to get inside of there, you'll have these little brake washers that are on the end of the barrels. It's easy to get them out. So you have quite a slew of tools you can use here to get the job done, and let's get into it. Okay, for our brakes, as I run over the tools, you have a whole slew of tools you can use here to make your life a lot easier. For me, it is a little simpler to use these little tiny needle nose, but for the longest time, I use these two picks, so really whatever you have around to make it work will work great. The problem is with these, there is no direct line shoot. Like the direction of the line does not go directly through the back of the shifter. It is a little offset to the side. So the best thing to do is to pull the thing that catches our brake lever out, and that is what is going to look like. It is going to have another little plastic thing on the other side I just dropped. So it will look like this, and the best thing that you can really do for yourself is to take a little tiny bit of grease, because these little guys are going to try to go everywhere, just like that, and dab this guy back on here, and it won't go anywhere. Do yourself a favor and do it to the other side as well. And now we fish our actual brake cable through here, fish it through the shifter, and then put it back in. And this takes a traditional road style brake cable, so nothing really fancy. Okay, we're just going to feed this guy through. Try to hold this piece in your hand the whole time so you don't lose any little ends or bang them around and knock them off. And now we feed through here, and I'm going to have to try to get a light on there. It's going to be very hard to get. All right, time to feed in our brake cable here. And if you look to the left, where this little notch is in the middle of the shifter right here, it is the hole to the brake lever is going to be just, and I'm going to put this inside of there. It's right there. So a little to the left. It is extremely hard to get a good angle and a shot on this by yourself with a camera tripod. I wish I had somebody to angle this, but once you see me feed it in, it's actually much easier to get it done this way. So we feed this through. Like to go nice and slow. Hold on, make sure we don't lose any of our little bits here, banging them around. And now the final part here, before you pull it too far in, you just want to use whatever you use to pull it out to snap it back in. There you go, we got it snapped in both ends, ready to go. All right, we will run this brake cable back on the right shifter here, so let's get that done 2 times for the people. Now you just pull the rest of your cable through. You feed it through your brake line, and you are now done. And that's the end of our shifter and brake cable video installation. As you can see here, we have our beautiful Truck 400 completed.
I repeat, this is not a drill.
This thing came out absolutely sick. So pleased with it overall. I did a whole build video just before this on this exact breakdown as a bare frame and all the parts I used to put it all together. If you want to check that out, it turned out to be an awesome budget video. Please do not forget to like and subscribe, guys. If this helped you out and you want to support the channel, please do. You could find us over at Patreon. You can also find us on YouTube memberships where we have 2 different types and you can support us there. I'd greatly appreciate it if you did. Thanks.